Hello again from my front porch, my sunny front porch. It's actually almost noontime. I'm getting ready to head out to go grab some lunch here in just a little bit. But I wanted to stop and do one of these videos, and I'm actually glad that it's nice and warm out here because the temperatures have started to drop. We're moving into the fall feeling season now, sadly enough. It leads into the running joke that I've had when people have said, so when you're thinking that you might move down to Florida, and I say, well, I'm not in a big hurry yet, but ask me when we get to winter. I might change my mind, say, January, February. But the temperatures have started to go down a bit, so it's been now down into the 60s and stuff, and overnight a little even lower than that. And pretty soon probably gonna have to consider turning on the heat, but not yet. But out here on the front porch, it's nice and sunny. It's this little area warms up because it faces the sun. Anyway, it's a nice spot. I like it. But the reason for this episode today is because I need to make confession, and I do this I do everything somewhat lightheartedly. I always try to find humor, even where I maybe shouldn't. But this today, this is a serious thing. I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying my best. But I want to confess this because I need you all to make sure to help me be accountable on this as well. And what it has to do with is my health. Now, as you know, with those of you who've watched this show or paid attention over the time, there at one point my weight topped out at about 230 pounds, maybe even a little bit more, but generally about 230 pounds. And I really didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt, and so I started to make some changes to fix that. And the changes worked. And over a period of time, I was able to drop 50 pounds, and so I was down to 180. But then my goal was to even go another 10 pounds. I wanted to, for whatever reason, 170 was always my goal, and so I wanted to push that envelope, and then I discovered that I'd kind of plateaued at 180, and I was going to have to actually exercise. I was going to actually work to get that last 10 pounds, and I just never quite got that traction. I never quite got there. After I'd lost the weight, then I got diagnosed as type 2 diabetic, which of course is a surprise to everybody because everyone assumes type 2 diabetes comes with being overweight. I can. In my case, it was a little bit genetic. My dad is type 2 diabetic. His dad was type 2 diabetic. His aunts and uncles were type 2 diabetic. All of this was details that I didn't know. I knew my dad was, but I didn't know he had that much of a family lineage. It had never been discussed. It had never been talked about. And so, so I was a little genetically predisposed that it was destined to happen, unfortunately, anyway. And as I often do joke that when I turned 50, it was like the warranty expired and all these things began to show up. But it could be much worse. I'm not complaining because my blood sugar issue wasn't massively huge, but it was significant. And so I just needed to take additional steps to bring that under control. And I managed to do it. So that the last doctor appointment that I was at, after I'd been taking metformin, which the little insulin pills, but they're not as like taking a shot. It's not as much as the insulin stuff. Take those a couple of times a day with meals and stuff. But taking those and just being more mindful of what I was consuming. And I was actually able, as of my last doctor appointment that I was at, I was able to bring both my glucose and my A1C levels down to the point that I was technically no longer in the diabetic range at all. And so I technically was no longer classified diabetic. Now, that's easy to say because that just means it's because of that work that I was able to do that. You stop doing that work and you can go back into that range. So I'm not naive. I understand how that works. Well, So I never really quite got into the exercise thing, but I was doing some morning stretch exercises and some morning things that were helping to tone up my, what do they call it, your core. I don't have any delusions of ever having a six pack. I'm not looking for that, but just tightening up things here, helping my back straighten. And because a lot of times what makes people look pudgy is not that they are, it's that we slouch and that we walk around like this, and then the belly protrudes out and stuff. And if you square your shoulders back, it's not arrogance walking around. If you square your shoulders back, your back is straighter, you're more comfortable, you sit better, your posture is better, and your stomach looks better too. But it's easy to just do this. And so the morning exercises were helping me to stiffen up my back, because I was doing a lot of planking, doing some bicycles, some push-ups, some crunches, all of those kind of things. And I was religiously doing those every morning. Drinking a lot more water, cutting out almost all soda. Still having every now and again with a meal, but beyond that, it was water or unsweetened black tea. And so just making these changes and eating salads and vegetables instead of crap, like I used to do, and so that all helped that happen. Well, then, and I'm not blaming the new job, but it didn't make things easy. But I started this new job May 1st, and it has involved a lot of travel and some weird schedules, some late nights, some early mornings, lots of weird stuff. And when you're grabbing food on the go, a lot of times in airports, finding the healthy options is difficult at best. And so, I began to make little exceptions. Well, this time I can get that. This time I'll drink one of those. This time, soda, the diet soda, because I don't drink coffee, so that's where I get my caffeine. I could really use some caffeine this morning. Okay, well, I'll get a Diet Coke. I'll get a Diet Pepsi of it. And so started making these little concessions here and there, and because the mornings and the travel and stuff, then I don't have time to do the exercise this morning. I'll do them tomorrow. Okay, well, I didn't get them done. Guess what happened? I completely got out of the habit of doing the exercises. I mean, like for months now, I haven't done them. I have started drinking a lot more diet soda. We just took out cans and bottles yesterday, and I was dismayed at how many 20-ounce screw-top diet soda containers were in that box. And that's just what I was drinking at home. There's sodas that I've drank out driving and traveling and flying and stuff. And so a lot more soda. And the diet soda, if you're not aware of this, diet soda, it actually causes you to retain water, retain weight. And so it actually makes you fatter if you're just drinking the diet soda. So I was doing that, and like I said, I've noticed myself eating and making excuse to eat stuff that I shouldn't be eating, and not eating salads, vegetables, and healthier things, but of grabbing the conveniently packaged and compressed foods, processed things. As a result, shocker, I know, my scale says that I've put on at least 15 pounds, and that I'm rapidly approaching the 200-pound mark again, which is something that really is. See, when I was losing the weight and I dropped below 200, I hadn't been below 200 in a long time. And I vowed I would never go back to that number again. I would never see that number on my scale ever again. And yet here I am now looking at my scale, and I see that needle is moving closer and closer to that number. And that was a bit of a wake-up call for me. And I was like, okay, hold on. I got it. And I've noticed that my tummy is looking pudgier again. My face is looking rounder, and the neck is looking fatter again. And the neck fat thing, the fuller neck thing really stands out when you're like taking pictures of something, because it looks like it's all a big fat neck because you got all this extra stuff here. Now that's never going to completely go away. Excuse me, but I was looking better. The face was thinner, the neck was thinner, tummy was definitely thinner, And so, what do you know? I stopped eating correctly. I stopped watching I stopped doing the exercises. I stopped drinking what I should be drinking and was drinking what I should have been drinking. Imagine my body then starts to show problems. Oh, and on top of all of that, I wasn't even religiously taking my metformin anymore. I would take it with me, and when I would remember, I would take it. But when I'd forget, I would go days without having taken it. And on top of that, I got out of the habit of checking my blood sugar every day as well. I had the supplies; they're all there. Forgotten. One trip I forgot to grab the measuring tool thingy and put it in my bag, and I don't know. It seemed like from after that point on, it was just an extra little nuisance, little thing I didn't want to have to do. And so during the last few months, I've hardly checked my blood sugar at all. I haven't been regularly taking those metformin pills. My diet hasn't been what it should be. I've been putting weight on. You see where this is going. So the wake up call was the scale telling me that okay, unless you want to cross that 200 threshold again, Paul, you need to make some changes again. You need to hunker down and get back to what you need to be doing. But I also did not want to create blood sugar issues for me as well. So I'm getting back into taking my metformin too. I will say that for better or for worse, dodge the bullet, whatever, I did check my blood sugar this morning for the first time in, I don't know, several weeks, and it was only 108. Really, I was shocked. And last night I did not eat, because last night I was starting to think about this stuff. I got my supper and then went to the bathroom, but I thought, I wonder what the scale says. And I looked at the scale and I saw what it said, and my heart sank. And but I'd already bought my dinner, so I was going to eat it. And what I had was an order of boneless wings from Jethro's, which are all breaded, which I'm not supposed to eat breaded. And I got a bag of a small bag, but a bag of jalapeno Ruffles to eat, chips, not necessarily the greatest for diabetic either, and a soda, diet soda, so that was my meal last night, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to eat this, but this is it. I draw the line in the sand here, and then I'm going to, from this point on, be doing it much better. So I did. I am making that decision now. Like I said, I'm on my way out for lunch now. I'm going to go get a salad. And my blood sugar this morning was only 108, so I was very pleased about that. That was good. Now, I also did my exercises this morning. It was painful how bad they were, but I did them. I forced myself to do them, and now to get these habits back on track and get myself back on track. And I want your help all to help me do that too. So you see me out and about, don't be afraid to poke and say, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Because, I can use the support. All right, with that, time for me to go eat some healthy food. I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.